Hello, and welcome to the Computer Game Show bonus podcast for you people. That's what it is, isn't it?
It's TCGBS.
Okay, right. Welcome to the Computer Game Show podcast for you people.
Get it right.
Yeah, we should probably start by saying, giving you a bit of a catch up in what's been going on, because, when did we launch? When was launch day for the Patreon?
It's like 5th or 6th of May.
Yeah.
Right, so we're like a month in now.
Mm-hmm.
And because of all you wonderful people, we have started. Sean did his cooking thing.
Yep.
We're doing these podcasts, you lucky people. And Star Calls has started. Star Calls has started. It's exciting, isn't it? Oh, how are you finding it, James?
It's been good. I've enjoyed it so far, actually.
I've really enjoyed it, actually. Yeah. It's been. I did that thing again where I asked you an opinion and I was clearly just waiting to give my own.
Yeah, but it was weird because every time that we've recorded it, like before we've done it, I've been kind of like, oh, I feel a bit tired. Don't really feel like this right now. And then after, like you start it up and it's just like, oh, I feel fantastic up by the end of it. It's been great. It's yeah.
What's really weird is that you sort of get that buzz back again. Like when you launch a podcast, there's such a buzz in that first week because you're like, oh my God, it's out there, checking to see if iTunes has approved it and finally launching it and then just searching for what people are saying about it and seeing if they're enjoying it. And like it's getting that buzz back again where you're launching something brand new. And it's like, oh my God, yeah, let's get this out there. It's really exciting.
Yeah, I've seen the reviews and stuff on iTunes is pretty cool.
Yeah, all that sort of stuff. And, I'm desperate to sort of burst another social bubble because we've got our listeners, which is, incredible. I mean, let me get this out of the way. The show is doing way better than I thought it would do. Looking at the download figures and the subscribers and stuff, it's been crazy. I thought we might pull in a few hundred, but we have smashed that already. It's going crazy. But it's like, it just feels like if we just pierce the right social bubble, then this will spread. Because you say, oh, I do a podcast about gaming, and it's like, well, people just, it feels like people just not, they're either into that or they're not. You know what I mean? And we're quite hardcore with it. Like, when you think about it, like you say, oh yeah, I play some games, and they listen to the show, and it's like, this week EA have announced that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas, like, if you're just talking about a film that fucking nearly everyone on the planet's seen, then I'm finding that a lot of people that I've known for a long time is listening to me do a podcast for the first ever time, and it's quite a strange experience. So it feels like I want to just like muscle into a new social bubble and see if it spreads on that as well. You know,
it's like, I noticed you've been tweeting it though as my new podcast rather than our new podcast.
Well, actually, I think, for starters, it is mine and it's yours as well, right?
Yeah.
So surely our would be the
the word.
Well, no, because not the people that I'm tweeting. Like, I'm putting this up on my Facebook, and if I put James is
I know what you
even
mean.
worse than that though, Sean, is that Matt in the Patreon Discord feed put, we're doing really well about Star Calls.
It's under
and
the
I thought,
Computer Game Show
but
banner,
what's
is it
Matt
not?
supposed to put? Like, two guys who are affiliated with me, but I am not involved in this project on this particular occasion.
Star Calls is doing really well. I'm really proud of David and James.
Well, everything I say is we.
Yeah.
It's quicker.
I mean,
it is quicker.
if we're talking, so you can't just have a go at me for, how I see the podcast and then just switch it because, Matt, like, do you know what I mean?
Hang
Don't
on,
work like that.
I didn't moan at you.
You did a little. Well, you went
think
quiet.
that was
You didn't
James.
defend me, Matt. Your silence spoke words. I think that's the phrase, isn't it? Silence spoke words?
Silence
You
spoke
silence
words.
spoke words.
See, I'm still
that's the one.
surprised that you didn't want to call the computer game shows like David Turner's The Computer Game Show, because that would have been
Starring David Turner.
it would have been on
better,
brand.
I mean, we would have had to have changed it recently, but
That's true.
I think people kind of forget that I founded this. So Matt certainly
You
forgot that.
invented podcasting, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at least
Matt
video
said,
game
what was it Matt
podcasting.
said? Again, in the same Discord, didn't Matt said something like, "Oh, it didn't hit number one though, so I'm going to have to let James and David go. And I just thought, what's happened to him?
My role as CEO,
what do you
Dave.
think your positioning is in this
CEO.
in this
I've said
universe?
that.
CEO. So what am I? What do you think I am?
Yeah.
If you're CEO, what do you think I am?
What is it? Is it like keeping in touch days? Like it's kit days, isn't it? Just-
Right. Okay.
Maternity
But
leave.
when I return,
Yeah, what's his
what is my
substantial
role?
substantive
come on,
role?
let's hear
rather?
this. Let's hear how big this ego's got. Go on.
we'll see what happens. You know, I mean, obviously we're trying to understand what the role is. When you come back, we'll have like a bit of a settling in period, and we'll see where the new
Imagine
role is.
that.
There's a lot
We're
of
going
things
through a
we're-
restructure.
Imagine that.
You're saying we're going through a restructure.
It's like-
Yeah, well, it's not a restructure. We'll see how you feel the role's going, and then we'll see how we
I thought
progress
we'd
when you come
agreed
back.
it was
you know.
just co-host, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a very different market. We're
just a
post-Brexit.
team. It's a
Could you imagine
cooperative,
Bill
guys.
Gates,
It's not
Bill Gates building up
It's the
Microsoft
co-op.
from the ground up, and then some little punk when he's on holiday saying, "Let's see your position when you get back." Yeah, Bill Gates will go, "No, I built this. The reason why you're working in this company is because I invited you into it. Not do you know what I mean, Matt?" I can't wait to get back because the home truths are going to come thick and fast. There'll be an apology. There'll be an apology a couple of months afterwards. But for those couple of months, mate, you're going to hear it all. Know what I mean? James, the only thing that I will say, right, and this has probably been on your mind as well, yeah? Mm-hmm. So the first 3 films you adored,
Yeah.
right? And what I love about the calls so far is that you've been feeding me with this like history and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
How familiar are you with the 3 prequels?
Very familiar.
Right, okay, that's good. Yeah, so that's great. But then when we move on to the Disney films,
Also,
like I've got a feeling
yeah.
that really, so when I say familiar, I don't mean like you know the films well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking like all the little bits of trivia that you've been dropping in.
Yeah, I
here
know a
and
lot
there.
of
like,
backstory stuff as well, so don't worry.
excellent.
Okay.
Oh, that's great then, because there was that fear that we were going to get to Disney stuff, and it was just me.
Oh, no.
Speak
David,
like talking
there-
through the plot.
There is a lot to talk about with those films as well. Don't worry.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Oh, that's fantastic.
This is
'cause I
why,
just thought,
like, just please don't read anything about any of them before we
No,
get
no,
to
no,
that.
This is,
I
because this is
absolutely-
it, isn't it? Like the older films, you know, people have pieced things together through sort of bits of documentaries and information that sort of slowly appeared over the years, whereas the Disney ones came out while the internet was a thing.
exactly.
So it's
yeah,
all
but
just
right.
happened at a million miles an hour in
I
comparison.
get that, but then also, like, filmmakers are way more guarded now, right?
Yeah.
So whereas all that shit was like, that's all historical stuff that's been dug up over the years. Like one of these films come out last year or the year before or whatever, and it's like, what do we say? It's like, surely there's not that much, but if there is, then that's great.
Because now like we're getting like the first pictures when all the cast get together for the first like cast photo and like
Yeah, all that
J.J.
sort of
Abrams is, like,
stage
he goes on
shit.
podcasts and all sorts of stuff. So we do
Yeah,
get to see it all.
all of that stuff, but it's all controlled.
Yeah.
Whereas like back then,
Well, that is why I'm really looking forward to you getting to the first of the prequels, because even though it is controlled, they didn't control it terribly well. And
yeah,
so-
you were saying about
Yeah.
that documentary was really
Yeah.
exposing. So that's brilliant. Like, I'm really excited about that because that's. I mean, I'm loving the films genuinely, but I'm loving hearing all this stuff for the first time as well. And James, I like going back to what you said about don't look anything up. It hit me, and I could probably. When's this podcast out, Matt?
It'll be out tomorrow.
Right, so it's out. Yeah, so it's out on Thursday.
Yeah.
The show around The Empire Strikes Back comes out on Monday. So you won't have really heard this, but James tells me on that show that at the end where Han Solo's frozen, one of the reasons why they did that is because they didn't know if Han Solo was going to be in the third film, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this my paranoia now, I guess, or me overthinking things, and I absolutely haven't looked into it. I was thinking, oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it. After you told me that, I was like, oh yeah, but he signed up after that, obviously. And then I'm thinking, well, no, I don't know that. Like, I don't actually know if Han Solo is in the third film. Legitimately, I've got no idea whether he's in that third film.
You see, which is
And
interesting
I'm
because
thinking he probably is, right? I'm
Yeah.
thinking he probably
Hang
is.
on, Dave. We've also,
Go on.
I know, because they won't know about. Yeah, okay, forget it. No, forget it.
It's just it's interesting, you know, talking about what we knew about films then and what we know about them now. So, like the end of Avengers: Infinity War. I mean, do I need to worry about spoiling it at this point?
I've not seen it, but I'm not really
Okay,
bothered.
well, basically,
You know, Endgame or Infinity War?
Infinity War. So there's a major event at the end of Infinity War, and everyone's really upset. And I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, but I know how many of these actors have all got like multi-film deals, and they haven't run out yet.
Yeah, there's that. And
So because we're more aware of the business around it, it does ruin it a little bit.
Yeah, spoil it a little bit.
Yeah,
I will tell you this: we have just had a retweet. Star Wars Radar, which is followed by 42,000 Star Wars fans, has just retweeted our podcast. So,
nice.
You know, fingers
Is
crossed.
it
That
our
might be the
podcast
bubble
or your
burst.
podcast?
I don't know, Matt. How much effort have you put into it?
Let's not go into that.
I mean, he did set up the Patreon, which is, you know.
Yeah.
based on the podcast that I invited him on.
On the while we're talking about how brilliant,
Have you missed me, Matt? Just a little bit.
Absolutely not.
So you're saying about sort of bursting out of the usual bubble. It's weird, isn't it? So like doing Bell's Kitchen, because like all I've ever done really is video game stuff. You feel like I felt like doing a stream where I cook dinner was like going out on a limb, but it's done really well. And then you're like, oh, that's right, because more people eat food than play video games.
Yeah.
And
you know what's funny about that, Sean?
Oh, go on.
See, Matt and I thought the same thing about Interface, but it didn't work out like that.
Sizable following.
Should have got a David Turner on involved, shouldn't you? The Interface is the future that Matt deserves. You know what I mean? The computer game show is the future that I've given him. Matt, right?
It was a good show. It was a good show.
I think if
can't
you
remember the
relaunched
figures.
Interface now, you'd do all right.
But I don't agree.
No.
Matt, I can't remember the figures exactly, but am I right in thinking that although this has been like incredible, the computer game show, everything it's done, am I right in thinking that in terms of figures and downloads, Big Bother was bigger than the computer game show?
I think the computer game show now is bigger than that was, but that
In
was
terms of figures, I really don't think it was.
I don't know. We had, but I mean, it was ridiculous, those numbers. But now I'm like, oh, how legit were the numbers? I don't know. I mean,
Well, yeah, there's always that, but I remember the numbers for Big Bother just being insane, right? And I could be wrong, I've been misremembering it, but that goes back to your point, Sean. It's like, at the time, when Big Brother, it was still quite big when we did it, and there was like 2 Big Brother podcasts. So anyone that was into Big Brother that wanted to listen to a Big Brother radio show, it was the year after Big Brother did Big Ears. Do you remember, with Ian Lee?
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
And it was, I don't know how well that did, but and then it was us and the Daily Record, and the Daily Record had quit because of us halfway through the series.
Yeah, they couldn't hack
And
it.
I remember I remember that's it, isn't it? It's like if you find a gap in the market for something big, like I suppose we could say it on the Patreon show, right? We planned at one point to do a Love Island podcast, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been great.
Do you know what it was called?
Go on.
ULIP, which I think is a great name because it's an unofficial Love Island podcast.
Okay.
But it just sounds wicked to say. ULIP. Welcome to
Get on that ULIP.
And we were getting well excited, weren't we? ULIP, yeah, that sounds fucking great, man.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
wasn't it going to be you and James, but we just...
It was, yeah, and I've never...
It was going to be
Yeah,
me,
because
you
I've
and
never
James,
seen
yeah.
it or anything like that and have little interest in it, so it would have been maybe funny. I don't know.
Yeah. But anyway, today I listened to your prediction show.
Oh, yeah.
And what a cracking podcast
Before we
that
get
was.
to that, I just want one quick thing about Star Calls. James, how have you not corrected Dave when he says Han Solo? It's clearly Han Solo, right? What's that about?
Han Solo.
But it's Han, it's pronounced Han.
Well, no, it depends on who's saying it. Like when Princess Leia says it, she says Han, but other people says Han. So
Really? I just assume everyone said Han.
Yeah, other people's say it.
Other people say Han. Oh. I was like,
It could be worse. I, friend of a friend, genuinely thought...
Calls him Clonk.
No, better than that. Genuinely thought he was called Hans Olo. Which is
Han
no.
Solo.
No.
That's more funny.
Yep.
Is that Hans with like a Z?
Only live once.
Hands with an S, I think. But yeah,
Han Solo.
Hans
Yeah,
Solo.
but I noticed that even listening back to the calls, I noticed I say Leah and Leia.
Yeah.
So I get that wrong a few
Yeah,
times.
definitely Leia.
Yeah, it's Leia, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Leia kick.
But yeah, it's just, I mean, I suppose when you're introduced to all these characters, I mean, I've known that name for ages, so I should get it right. But you know what I'm like? I'm a fucking mess of a human being.
Yeah,
But yeah,
predictions.
that prediction show was fantastic.
Can I open a can of Coke?
James,
you
why
can.
are you
This is the
asking?
chill out
Absolutely
show.
not.
James, this is the chill out
It's
show.
just alright,
You
so
do
I
what
can
the
just
fuck you
do
want.
stuff like that. Yeah, it's alright.
Yeah.
James, I do it on the regular pod.
Yeah, this is a noise that I don't have to worry about on this show.
Everyone else is nude, right? I'm not the only one.
Oh yeah, I
Who gives
was
a shit?
genuinely new during Monday's pod though, guys. It's way too hot in here. In fact, like, when we did that test afterwards,
Yeah.
I had to put clothes on.
Well, we did
I
that
was
test, but I
sweating my
didn't
face
realise
off.
we were doing it,
I mean,
and I was wearing
that's
that
upsetting,
shirt.
Matt. That's upsetting because
yeah,
you were
that
wearing
was
a
great.
Midnight Resistance shirt, Matt, and I was like, oh, he actually just wears it, like, just generally. No, he doesn't. He threw that on especially.
No. But I was
was
wearing
on
it
the
generally. I just had nothing
Okay.
on during the pod. And yeah, but when we got on the on Skype to test our like next like Reacts video, James didn't realise he was wearing a Star Trek uniform T-shirt, and then Sean was also wearing like a Star Wars hoodie. So it was two worlds colliding.
Is there anything sensitive said in that
In what?
test?
It's mainly just Farley talking about going bald.
Yeah,
Oh,
good, yeah.
right. Oh yeah, you've cut your hair, haven't you?
I have. Yeah,
Yeah.
Do you not want to talk about that?
not really. No,
You don't want to talk about
Not
it,
really.
Matt.
Shame.
Why?
it's all right, isn't it? It's reaction's been fine. I mean, it's not like
Reaction.
it's not completely all gone anyway. It's just really short.
Yeah, but
Which is fine.
that's even better because now it's like you're seizing your own destiny, James.
Yeah.
You know,
Also, you've had hair like that before.
Oh yeah, but years ago. Like not for. I mean, recently it's been all like Mad Professor. It's awful.
and I know what you mean because like, I always had short hair like growing up, and then sort of in my early 20s, and then I grew it, and then I put weight on. So then when I did eventually shave it again, it was like, no, I used to have a jawline which made this work better, but now
So
now
that's
it's
the
like
thing,
my,
like-
my head is like bottom heavy.
Sean, you definitely missed out a period when you were describing your hair process as you were growing up. You definitely purposefully missed out the Afro period
I
in
said I
that
grew it.
retelling. Go on.
I grew it out. No one needs to know any more than that. It's fine.
So that's the thing, because like also because too fat, and I look like a potato still, and it's just I'm not happy with that.
Everyone, you look fine. Everyone thinks they look shit, don't they?
I mean,
I think I look like Mr. Burns' brother. You know you know that episode of The Simpsons where Mr. Burns' brother turns up.
I don't think I've seen
He
that.
looks like a younger Mr. Burns, but he's still got that weird sort of pointy nose and the like sort of bulbous chin. That was me. That's what I think I look like. And I know in reality that people look at me and think that man is a fucking god. But deep inside, I feel like Mr. Burns' brother. So I feel your pain.
See, I
That's what I'm
like
saying.
combination of like I don't know, just learning to be less shitty about myself, and also understanding how camera lenses work. I tend not to worry so much about photographs and stuff now, right? But then occasionally you see a picture where you're just like, oh, what the fuck? Like I look like a weird, like my nose is like a proper fucking beak. Like what has happened? Like sometimes you see a picture and it's like, just what has happened to my face? That's just bizarre. But
Yeah, I mean, I get more of those pictures than I do ones where I go, I look acceptable. I look human.
Do you ever like go out of your way to like buy some nice new clothes and then no one notices?
Oh, no one notices, when you wear new clothes.
Yeah.
But when you're standing, that feeling when you've got like a nice new top on, maybe some nice jeans or even trainers,
Yep.
and you look in the mirror and you think, I feel $1 million. And then how long does that last?
Yeah, because as soon as you step outside, you're like, oh yeah, to everyone else, I'm just guy who happens to be wearing these clothes today. No one knows
The
that they're
colours
new.
look solid instead of faded this time. People might notice less bobbles on my top.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it's been in the fucking tumble dryer 8,000 times.
It winds me up, right? And this isn't me crying like fucking reverse sexism or anything, but So my office is mostly women, and whenever one of them comes in with like a new coat or a new dress, or they've done something with their hair, it's like a whole conversation. But when I make the effort, I get nothing.
Yeah, we knew going with a dress and new hair.
Yeah. Like, no one bats an eyelid.
See, it's the opposite in my office. If I've got to go to a meeting, so in my office I just wear like casual clothes. It's all fine. But when I go to a meeting or I'm meeting a client or whatever, I'm usually in a shirt, maybe sometimes a suit, right?
Yep.
The moment you walk into the office in a suit or whatever, it's
just like, court, is it, mate?
Where you go? Whoa, oh, what's going on with you? You look smart. And it's just like, mate, I say the same thing every time I'm off to court.
Yep,
Once
classic.
I did it, and one of the partners come up to me and said, "Oh, you look smart. You in a meeting or anything?" I said, "No, job interview."
Yeah, that's probably not.
Yeah, I know. They look like proper shocked.
Probably not
like,
great thing to gag about.
angry or whatever. I said, "I'm joking." And
You're like, I'm
And walked
joking.
off.
That was yesterday.
I got the job. I got the job.
I'm out of here, boys.
What job did you get? Yours.
Yeah.
Get out.
Fuck
Get
off
out
out
of
of
the
my
seat.
office.
It's
Get
weird,
the
like,
fuck
'cause
out of my office.
I've still, statistically, most of my adult life was spent working in one place, and I only left there 5 years ago, and then I've only had...
How long you been in your office?
So my current job, I'm in...
In that office, how long did you have that one job?
That one job was like 10 years. And that
Right,
was
okay.
literally like that. So that was the job I did. So when I started college, I did that, worked at the weekends. And then I went to uni, came back because I couldn't find a real job, carried on working there, and then just sort of never left because I was really fucking shiftless throughout most of my 20s. And it was literally like the day that I started my second ever job, bearing in mind I was like 28 by this point. And it's just this feeling of like, I can just go and get another job. I can just apply for another job and then walk out of here and into somewhere else. It was like this whole new feeling to me, whereas I know most people are like, oh no, fuck it, every year, just keep something else. Fuck it. Like,
Yeah, people keep shifting about.
Yeah.
See, because I'm kind of like you, I guess.
Mm.
I'm up to 12 years now
okay.
at my current job. And it is a bit weird when there's like a new member of staff comes in. And I'm mid-30s, so in the world of architects, I'm quite young.
Mhm.
And the average age of my office is a lot older.
Yeah.
And when people go, "Oh, how long have you worked here?" and it's 12 years, and they're just like, "What? Like, how?" Do you know what I mean? Like, they find it really strange.
So yeah,
but-
part of me feels like I should now, so I've been at the same job, like, coming up to 4 years now, and part of me's like, does this mean I should think about moving on? But
Yeah, definitely.
we just had a round of redundancies, and there are people who are just like, I've been here for 35 years. Like, it's like, how much money are you going to give me? Like, it's just been...
that's a consideration, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's just been absolutely hilarious. They're like, well, I'm fucking going. Like, this is going to be amazing.
And of course, pensions and securities. Like, you're not... I don't want to put myself in a 3-month probation thing.
Yeah.
But, things happen, don't they?
Yeah.
It's a weird situation to be in. I'm not thinking about moving anytime soon, put it that way.
Yeah.
Anyway, what was this show going to be about, Matt?
I don't know. It's your podcast now.
Whatever you want.
Basically, it was just whatever.
Did we have much feedback?
The feedback was we should do some console specials.
That's Kane and Rince's
right.
thing, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
I like the fact that we're quite chilled out on this one. It's
Yeah.
like we've loosened the tie a bit.
Yeah.
just chilled out entertainers.
That's the one.
What's that? And what else? And then basically, so that someone asked for a pod where we talk about our favourite football memories. I think that was Kurt Lewin.
God,
Well,
brilliant.
that'd be a nice month off for me, at least.
Oh, shut up.
There's no point me being there, Dave. It's not. This isn't me like folding my arms and sulking. It's just like, honestly, you'll just
can
get
listen.
nothing from me.
Just make every one of yours up, Sean,
Okay.
and keep just like getting more and more ridiculous for every story.
Have you've never even, you've not even had a kick about, that's never been a thing that you've done?
Played for my primary school's football team for like 3 weeks.
I played for Manchester United during the 90s.
You might have doing trials, with Liverpool.
Obviously, you're basically made to play it in primary school, then a bit in high school, but that's it. Like,
That's so weird because the schools around here It's not the same with Harry, actually. It's different for Harry. But when I was growing up, it was as if schools were angry that kids love football so much.
Oh, yeah.
So PE lessons, not one football lesson. Never. Yeah. It was never football. It was rugby, cricket, running.
You see, I'm surprised that rugby remains and football got pushed out. That seems weird.
I think it was middle class schools trying to seem working class schools trying to seem middle class.
What's that saying? It's like, it's like football is a game for gentlemen played by thugs, and rugby is a game for thugs played by gentlemen.
yeah. I mean, I'm not. That's generalising, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Like anyone can like the sports. No, I'm saying I am as well, right? I'm not suddenly attacking you, but I know I was as well. But it did feel like it was kind of like all the teachers were going, oh, they love football so much, but there's so many different sports. And it was like, we're doing netball. Netball. Can we just play football, please?
In my primary school, they used to keep banning footballs, which was really irritating.
What?
Because they did.
What?
No, it's because there was incidents because, like...
People getting smashed in the face.
What did you do? Knock a couple of cunts out?
No, the head teacher's office was, like, opposite like the playgrounds, and like her window got smashed on numerous occasions by footballs.
Okay, fair enough.
And so they were like, no footballs.
Her window shouldn't have been there.
Well, it should have been, yeah. I mean, obviously,
just brick it up.
Yeah. Stop looking at the football.
What if you had the next Frank Lampard? Could you imagine that? Like, if someone from your school become like the biggest football player in the world,
James could have been the next Frank Lampard, but
exactly.
the school ruined it.
If someone, and it's like, oh, what was he like growing up? And just be like, and the football player would absolutely rip your head teacher apart. I don't know where I'm going with that. It's just my little mind carrying away.
I always remember.
I've not slept much recently.
In high school, when we I think it was when we picked our GCSEs, and we also got to pick like what sports we wanted to do in PE. Obviously, you had to pick like a certain number. I think I picked like hockey, tennis, and there was this other one that just said like PSE, which I think they said was like physical social education or something.
I think the soldiers get after the war.
That.
Did you get that? Yeah. So
no.
So we were like,
I remember that.
We were just like, oh, don't know what this is, but fuck it, let's tick it. Like me and all my nerd mates, and it turned out it was just the thing that everyone who didn't really want to do sports ticked. So we showed up to the first lesson. It was all these other kids that we like, from sort of other bits of the year that we'd never really met. And it was like, oh, we're all here because we don't really want to do sports. And we just like fucked around playing dodgeball and stuff. It was good.
Yeah, what was PSE though?
I thought it was social education.
Yeah, I thought it was like social education of like...
personal social education. Yeah.
Maybe I'm...
Because I think I remember it because I think it was the same thing. So when we played PE in middle school and high school, it was kind of like... you had the PE students and the PSE students, and it was like, I guess they just went off and... Well, I suppose that's fine. Like it's
it's good.
You know what I mean? You know when you look at like maths and science and stuff, it's like it's all stuff that you really do need to be educated in. Like as much as I love sports, I've never really understood why it's like a forced lesson.
Well,
you know what I mean?
It's good for the exercise and all that.
Get them out.
It's great for exercise. I get that, right? Yeah, and that's all good. But there's a difference between education in exercise and education in sport. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I see what you mean, yeah.
It's just, I totally see why they would separate that sort of stuff.
They could have just got people to go out for a walk or something, It'd been fine.
That's probably what it was. I think, I remember, oh my God, I'm getting so many flashbacks to middle school now, it's weird.
See,
we used to go on long walks.
Really?
Yeah.
Like as a lesson, yeah. Like we would walk out of the school and just like round the local areas and then back again.
No way.
Oh, we never did nothing on that.
And that was what PSE was. Wow. Yeah. That's exactly what it was. Yeah, we used to just go on these fucking weird long walks and then back to school again.
How strange.
I lived in a very experimental time, I think.
I mean, you must have been good kids. Like, I don't think our school would have risked that. I think they just assumed there would be fuckery.
Hillcross, we were pretty good.
Yeah.
I think Hillcross was quite a good school. Yeah. But then when I got to Rains Park, it was just a prison. Like, it was just a fucking prison. I was only there for 2 years, and Jesus.
But it's definitely a thing, is it? Like, so, like, high schools that were built in, like, the sort of 60s and 70s definitely just look like correctional facilities. Like, they're just, just a thing.
Yeah, well, especially ones in the city as well, because it's like, there's just fucking massive high fences, like mesh fences around them, because it's like the kids might walk out and get hit.
Well, that's it, because if your school's just in the middle of nowhere, it's like, well, where the fuck are you going to go? But actually, if there is stuff in the immediate vicinity, you've got to keep the kids walled in.
Well, that was a good chat, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Are we done? Are we done for this month?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I've got
stick a fork in that.
Have we fulfilled our minimum requirements, Matt?
I mean, I feel like if we're going to do school memories, we could probably go for another 3 hours, but...
we could, couldn't we? Maybe we should save some for next time.
I've got a lot of stupid things from school.
I know a lot about Matt's university years. I don't know much before that. I bet there's some fascinating stuff. I've got some. Here's a question: did anyone get in trouble with the headmaster?
Oh god, yeah.
Like to the point where. Wait, so what did you do to you got called into the headmaster's office and proper bollocks out? What did you do?
I was notorious for talking during assembly.
Oh, that's nothing.
But it was like it was that. I know. Yeah, it was that frequent. The worst thing I ever did in primary school. The worst thing I ever did in primary school. I never actually got officially done for it.
What are you sure you want to say it now on the pod? They might do you now.
They might come and get me. They might tear my degree up.
It's him. We got him, boys.
It's one of those things where the actual offence wasn't that bad. It was that someone else took the shit for it. I wrote something on the desk with a compass. I can't remember what it was. It wasn't like a
teachers are
fucking something like that. Yeah.
Fuck off, fascists.
Fuck.
I ended up with 15 detentions once.
Really?
What? Yeah. It was, and I hadn't even done anything wrong. It was just
that's what they all say.
No. It was what it was we had.
It's not like you to not just admit that you were in the wrong, James.
This time I was completely not in the wrong. It was no, because what had happened is we had this teacher who just couldn't keep control at all. Mm-hmm. And everybody was like, she was showing some video on TV, and it had this weird soundtrack, and everybody started like thumping on the desks, like really, really loud, like in rhythm to the sound. So were you in
the musical production of Stomp?
Pretty much, yeah. Now, the thing is,
we knew you could break dance, so that's part of it.
I went out to go to the toilet, and then she'd gone out as well, and then she came back and was going at everybody about like, why are you making all this noise? And I came in, and she was like, were you doing this as well? And I just said, yeah. And I hadn't. I wasn't even there. It was going on, but I didn't want to be left out.
Why did you say yes then?
And then, because then it turned out nobody else had admitted to it, and I ended up getting in trouble for it. It was ridiculous.
But why did you say yes?
Because I didn't want to be left out.
You didn't know you were left out. You've been out having a shit.
I was just assuming that everybody was doing it, so I was just like, yeah, I did that.
I didn't want to be left out.
I was doing that with all the cool kids. No one else was doing it. Bollocks.
So one time in primary school, we did like an actual trip out somewhere out in the countryside, I forget where, and we were like walking down like a farm track, and there was there was just like a big herd of sheep like ahead of us on this track, and for whatever reason, some of the kids decided it'd be really funny to just start shouting and charging at the sheep. And then about 50% of the kids joined in, right? So there's a good like 30 or 40 kids just running at this herd of sheep. And all the sheep, like, obviously shat it and ran off. And it then became this big thing for the next, like, week or so, that it was like this, like, really fierce division between all the kids, whether or not you were a sheep runner or not. Because the kids who ran at the sheep got fucking bollocked. And then it was properly like, well, the kids who were restrained and didn't run at the sheep were properly like, oh, fucking... Well, obviously didn't say fucking because we're only, like, 8. But it's like, oh, man, sheep runners, they're all bad people. Like, it properly, like... made this division in all the kids, like proper fucking Zimbabwe prison experiment shit. It was just
bunch
insane.
Of sheeples.
Yeah, and the fact was like sheep runner was the worst thing you could be for about a week.
Yeah, sheep runner.
Sheep runner. I had I got called into the headmaster once for stabbing a kid with a compass.
Whoa, okay, what?
You know the ones that do a perfect circle. Where you put your pencil in and you draw a sharp point. Yeah, there was this dickhead kid in my class who I really didn't like, and he was leaning over a table, so I just jabbed his ass with it.
Wait, he did a perfect circle on his ass?
Yeah, I didn't expect him to scream as loudly as he did, and I was the only one there standing behind him with a massive compass. The teacher was looking over
blood
like, what the fuck?
But do you think he was over acting a bit? It can't have been that painful, surely.
A big sharp... Yeah, no, he was not overacting.
Okay.
Well, he was just
usually the point of it's only like little, innit?
I still think the funny story I've heard, and I laughed non-stop about this when he told me, my brother-in-law told me that there was this one kid in his school, and he was just like a hero because everyone knew who this kid was, but the teachers never found out who it was. If there was ever an assembly, he would wait for a moment where no teachers was looking at him, and he would just shout, "Funny!" Right? And of course, everyone would piss themselves laughing, and the teachers would go mental trying to find out who it was. And he said, and then there'll be several assemblies where it wouldn't happen, and then later on, there'll be an assemblies, we're chatting, it'll go quiet, and they'll just hear, "Funny." And when he told me, I repeated that over and over in my head, and I had tears running down my eyes. Like, it was so funny. Speaking of full circle, can I just finish up on some Starkle's chat? Yeah. Some ideas that I had that I'd like to pitch and see what you guys think. So James and I have spoken about this on actually. I was thinking about interviewing my dad and finding out about his view of Star Wars because I don't know if he's seen one. I've got no idea if he's seen one of his films.
Has anyone in your family ever seen Star Wars?
I don't know.
He's like, son, you're never watching it. His dad was like,
yeah, because you would think if he'd seen it and thought anything of it, then he probably would have got you to watch it at some point.
But yeah, or would have had a copy in the house or something. Yeah. But he never did, and I'm fascinated to see. I'm pretty sure he's not seen it, but has very strong opinions about how bad it is. You know what I mean? And that's what I find interesting. Yeah. So I'm thinking about interviewing him. I was also thinking about trying to interview Blake, right? Yeah. And here's the angle, right? So out of everyone that I know, personally, he's the most likely to end up in a Star Wars film, right?
that makes sense.
If they can't, because Simon Pegg was in one, and there's loads of smaller British actors or whatever that have ended up in a Star Wars film, right? So if it was announced that he was in the next Star Wars, it wouldn't be it would be weird, right? It'd be fucking bizarre. But at the same time, you wouldn't be that surprised, would you? Because he's, a known actor. Yeah. But I would love to know him. I would love to know him. I would love to know if there's a certain role that he would turn down. Because when you think about it, when you're going into a Star Wars film, you're not just taking on the weight of this acting role. You're also taking on the the weight of the insane fan base, right? So I would initially say, what if you were a character where in every scene it ended with you just pissing yourself? Would you take that role? Because that would be, you'd be known as the guy who pisses himself in Star Wars nonsense.
He still would be the worst character in Star Wars, though.
No.
But how about this? This is where I'm going, Matt. So if he said yes to that, I'd love to ask him. I'd genuinely love to ask him. If they said, look, we've got a role for you in the new Star Wars film, do you want it? It'd be like, yeah, of course, what is it? So Jar Jar Binks is back, and you're playing Jar Jar Binks. Now, he's a huge, huge Star Wars fan, is Blake, right? So, I mean, the moment they announce that Jar Jar Binks is in the next film, right, the fans are going to go insane, right? And they're going to take the piss out of it, and it's all going to be brought back up. And then his name is announced as playing Jar Jar Binks or whatever. As much as you love Star Wars and as much as you'd love to be in one of those films, would you take that role?
I
don't know, right? Because
there's an opportunity of a lifetime. You might as well see what happens.
Well, this is it.
Yeah,
you
but it's also
an
it could be a fucking career ender.
Well, no, right? Because I was listening to, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, the podcast called Off Camera, which is a guy who I think he was initially a cameraman, but he interviews actors and stuff. So it's a podcast and it's a video series as well. And he interviewed forgotten his name, guy who played Lovejoy. Fucking
Ian McShane.
I don't know his
Ian
name,
McShane, thank you. And
I know his face.
Yeah, and he basically he does a bit about apparently there's this saying that it's better to be shit in a hit than a hit in shit, which is basically if you are bad in a very good film, you're still sort of elevated by it. Whereas if you're very good in a bad film, no one cares. Or they might be like, oh yeah, you were good, but nah, shit film. So the general perception is that, if you can get attached to something that is big, regardless of how good or bad your bit is, it's worth doing.
That's fine. And even if he was brilliant as Jar Jar Binks, right, he's still not going to get away from the stigma of that character. Like, that is...
Yeah,
that is
I don't know. I don't care
risk.
how bad it is. The fact that you'll be in like Star Wars canon, you'll be working with Star
I don't
Wars.
think so.
It's
You
easy
see-
to say.
you say that,
I
Matt.
think it's easy to say for us.
Yeah.
But when you're faced with it, I think it's a completely different decision to make.
You know, the guy that played that had like a breakdown and everything. It's like, I
didn't know that.
Yeah, well-
I'll just save this.
Yeah, exactly,
You
yeah.
can't
I was
tell
going
me
to say
this.
it's not the
Yeah.
only one, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll go into this in more detail later, but
We
yeah,
will.
there's-
Well, you will.
there was repercussions for that. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Fuck. All right. We're probably done then, yeah?
I reckon
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
there's got
value
a
for
lot
money,
more
innit?
a lot more school content for sure.
Yeah, episode
funny, we
1,
didn't know what
Nightmares,
this-
episode 2, Shit School Memories.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really didn't know what this podcast was going to be,
We need
but
a
I'm quite
plan.
enjoying these
I
sort
think,
We need a
I think
plan.
episode 3 will be awkward initial sexual encounters.
Yes,
then-
we should do that.
the first time we lost.
Oh, we
LV
should do
players.
that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
No, absolutely
I'm
no
definitely
way am
not
I talking
doing that.
about that on a
Oh, it'd
podcast.
be hilarious.
Oh my god, I will if James does. I just
Absolutely not.
realised
Okay, that's it.
Absolutely not.
hearing James's story
Yeah,
must
let's
be...
talk about the V plates being lost. Come on.
Like, I'm now fascinated about what age.
I ain't talking about this on here.
All right, it's only for the patrons. There's only about
Yeah.
12 people going to listen to it.
Exactly.
It's fine.
we'll get.
We certainly won't clip it and post it as an incentive to join
Here's
Patreon.
why
way.
you should listen to the...
Here's a trailer for our Patreon. So I went in and that.
Matt, how about we do this, right? How about we fake? No, we can't fake it really, but how about we use this as a just clip what I'm about to say, and then use it as a teaser to get people to use Patreon. James, so what age were you when you lost your virginity? Just clip that and then put that out as a teaser for the Patreon show.
No, James, you need to say well, and then I'll cut that.
Well,
James.
James is not
I'm
happy
not-
with
no,
this
I'm not happy
discussion
with this at all.
whatsoever.
The wall is up.
James, what's the weirdest thing you've wanked over? Do you remember on Joypod where we used to do what is your most frequently searched word
Yes,
on
that was
YouPorn?
Busty.
Yeah, it was back then. It's changed now.
Oh, yeah.
It's changed.
Anyway, we should
alright.
probably end this now while we still
Yeah.
can.
Yeah, it's getting a bit blue,
It
isn't
is
it?
It
too
is.
hot for TV.
Again, thanks from the bottom of our hearts for supporting this. And we hope that all this extra content we're creating for you guys is worth it. I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure
That's
it
the bar
fucking
we've
is,
set.
alright?
Worth it.
That is the
It's
bar
gonna-
we've set. Yeah. We'll catch you next month, right?
Yep, that's how it works every month. I guess. I mean, we're going to post out on patreon.com/TCGS. So basically, the new sort of process for this is basically this is going to be out in the first week of each month. That's the plan, at least.
Yeah.
Because I think we did the last one towards the end of the month, but yeah, we're going to try and move it to the first week of the month.
Yeah,
where
we
possible.
sort of compressed everything into the last 2 weeks of last month, didn't we?
Yeah,
Whereas-
it was way too mad.
yeah, but yeah, we're going to try and spread it out a bit.
Yeah.
You say that, but we're recording something else straight away after this, aren't we? So
Yeah, well, we,
And we got another podcast to record on Friday night, James.
but
going well.
But
It's
the
going
talk
well.
survey isn't going to release until for another week. So, yeah, so the idea is this thing in week one, TCGS talk survey will be in, like, say, week 2 to 3 of the month, and then
God.
Bell's Kitchen towards the end of the month as well. But
Yeah, mate.
not.
Oh God!
But
How long before Matt starts using the word roadmap? Seriously,
well, actually,
he's going to, isn't he?
well,
you should see the charts we've got.
You know we've got a shared calendar now, don't you?
Yeah, I didn't sign up to that. Right, I will. I'll be honest. I didn't know how to. I'll catch you soon. Thanks for listening. Keep up the doodling. Goodbye.
See, how have you just come up with a better fucking sign off?
It's
That's
not,
just
he,
a-
ripped,
that's
he,
from the
he
office.
ripped it off, didn't
Oh, is it
he?
from the...
So,
All
yeah.
right, fine.
Yeah.
No, that's all right.
I do not believe it.
I was pissing by the door when I heard a shit.
Play it cool, Rodney. No. Right.
Right, are we clear now? Can we just stop now?
No, let's keep going. Right, let's go.
Yabba dabba doo. Okay.
Oh, I've not missed this.
Ah, fuck me.
Look, I am your father. Right, okay, let's go. Bye.
Right.